I never thought I'd become the kind of woman who spies on her neighbors. But then again, I never thought my husband would turn me into one. My name is Sarah. I'm 32 years old. I work 60 hours a week as a hospital administrator. I pay half of 2 mortgages. And until 3 months ago, I thought I was building a future with the man I married. His name is Tom. We've been married for 8 years. He's charming. He's handy. He's the kind of guy who can fix a leaky faucet and charm your mother at the same time. Everyone loves Tom. But let me tell you about the day everything changed. It was a Saturday afternoon, early summer, the kind of day where the sun makes you feel like everything is going to be okay. I was in our backyard, pruning the rose bushes along the fence that separates our property from the house next door, the house we bought together 6 months ago. Our investment property, Tom called it. I heard laughter, light, happy laughter, a woman's voice, a child's giggle, and then his voice, Tom's voice. I stepped onto the small wooden bench we keep near the apple tree, just to see over the fence, just to check on our tenants. And that's when I saw them. Tom was flipping burgers on a grill. A little boy, maybe 4 years old, was running around the yard with a toy plane. And a woman, blonde, younger than me, was sitting at a patio table, smiling at both of them like they were her whole world. Tom picked up the boy and spun him around. The boy squealed with joy, and then he said it, "Daddy! Daddy! Look at my drawing!" Daddy! My hands froze on the fence. My heart stopped. Tom laughed. He kissed the boy's head. "That's beautiful, buddy. But keep your voice down, okay? The crazy neighbor lady might hear you." Crazy neighbor lady. I climbed down from the bench. My legs were shaking. I looked down at my wedding ring, the one Tom slipped onto my finger 8 years ago, promising me forever. I walked back into my house. Our house. The one we were struggling to pay for because we'd used our entire savings to buy the property next door. "For investment," he said. "For our future," he said. I sat at the kitchen table, the same table where Tom and I had signed the paperwork for that second house, where he'd held my hand and promised me this was the smartest decision we'd ever make. I heard their laughter again through the open window, and that's when I realized I wasn't living next to tenants. I was living next to his secret life. Let me take you back to where this nightmare began. 6 months ago, Tom came home from work with that look in his eyes. The one that usually meant he'd had a brilliant idea. He was holding a bottle of wine and wearing that smile that had made me fall in love with him in the first place. "Sarah, babe, sit down. I need to talk to you about something incredible." I was exhausted from a 12-hour shift at the hospital, but I sat. He poured the wine. He held my hands across our small kitchen table. "The house next door is going on the market," he said, his eyes gleaming. "Mrs. Patterson is moving to a nursing home. Her kids want to sell fast." "Okay," I said slowly. "That's sad about Mrs. Patterson, but what does that have to do with us?" "Everything, Sarah. Everything. This is our chance. We buy that house, we rent it out, and the rental income covers both mortgages. In 10 years, we'll have 2 properties fully paid off. We'll be set for life." I remember hesitating. Our savings account had exactly $48,000. We'd been saving for 5 years. It was supposed to be for starting a family, for the fertility treatments my doctor had mentioned. "Tom, that's all our savings. What if something goes wrong?" He squeezed my hands tighter. "Nothing will go wrong. I'll manage the property myself. I'll do all the repairs, collect the rent, handle the tenants. You won't have to lift a finger. Trust me, Sarah. Have I ever let you down?" I looked into his eyes. My husband. My partner. The man who'd held me through my father's funeral. Who'd surprised me with breakfast in bed on our anniversary every single year. "No," I whispered. "You've never let me down." 3 weeks later, we owned 2 houses. Tom was ecstatic. He spent every evening at the property, painting walls, fixing the plumbing, updating the kitchen. He'd come home covered in dust and paint, exhausted but happy. "It's going to be perfect," he'd say, kissing my forehead. "You'll see." And then he found tenants. "Her name is Laura," he told me one evening. about 2 months after we'd bought the place. Single mom, going through a rough time. She's got a little boy. She seems really sweet, but she's shy, private, you know? She's had a hard life. My heart melted. Oh, Tom, that's wonderful that we can help her. Yeah, he said, looking away slightly. She needs a break. Life's been tough on her. I baked a pie the next day. Apple, from scratch. I put it in a nice basket with a welcome note. I'm going to take this over to Laura and her son, I told Tom that evening. His face changed. Just for a second. Something flickered in his eyes. Panic, maybe. But it was gone so fast I thought I'd imagined it. No, babe, don't do that. Why not? I'm just being neighborly. She's really private, Sarah. She's embarrassed about accepting help. She told me she doesn't want charity or pity from anyone. If you show up with a pie, she'll feel like we think she's pathetic. Let's just give her space, okay? It made sense at the time. I put the pie in our own fridge. Tom started spending more and more time at the rental property. The toilet's leaking again, he'd say, grabbing his toolbox at 7 in the evening. The furnace is making a weird noise. I need to check it out. She's having trouble with the garbage disposal. He was there every evening, every weekend. Sometimes he wouldn't come home until 10 or 11 at night. You're working so hard, I'd tell him, massaging his shoulders when he finally came to bed. I appreciate everything you're doing. It's for us, babe, he'd murmur, already half asleep. All for us. But then I started noticing things. Small things at first. Our joint checking account showed charges I didn't recognize. A premium cable package, high-speed internet, the expensive kind, furniture deliveries from West Elm and Pottery Barn. Tom, why are we paying for premium cable next door? I asked him one morning at breakfast. He didn't even look up from his phone. Oh, yeah, it's included in her rent, part of the lease agreement. It's easier to just keep everything in one account. But we don't even have premium cable here. We don't need it, Sarah. We barely watch TV. But she has a kid. Kids need entertainment. We're paying for a kid's entertainment while we eat ramen twice a week? He finally looked at me. His face hardened just slightly. Sarah, we talked about this. The first year is always tight when you're building an investment portfolio. We need to keep the tenant happy. Happy tenants pay on time and don't trash the place. It's basic landlord strategy. I felt guilty then. Like I was being selfish. Like I didn't understand business. You're right, I said quietly. Sorry. He softened immediately, coming around the table to kiss my cheek. It's okay, babe. I know you're stressed with work. Just trust me on this, okay? I've got it handled. But the charges kept coming. A swing set, a trampoline, a gas grill, a really nice one, the kind Tom and I had looked at for our own yard but decided we couldn't afford. I started working extra shifts at the hospital. We needed the money. The 2 mortgages were crushing us. I'd wake up at 5 in the morning, work until 7 at night, come home to an empty house because Tom was fixing something next door, eat leftovers alone, and fall asleep before he came home. This went on for 4 months. 4 months of Tom being the perfect landlord, the dedicated property manager, the hardworking husband building our future. And then came that Saturday afternoon, after I saw him with that little boy, after I heard the word daddy. I sat at our kitchen table for 3 hours. I didn't move. I didn't cry. I just sat there, my mind racing through every moment of the past 6 months, reframing everything I'd believed to be true. The late nights weren't about fixing pipes. The premium cable wasn't for the tenant. The toy deliveries I'd seen on our credit card statement weren't appliances for the rental. My husband hadn't bought an investment property. He'd bought a second home for his second family. When Tom finally came through our front door that evening, whistling, smelling like barbecue smoke, I was still sitting at that table. Hey, babe, he said cheerfully, heading to the fridge. I'm starving. The tenant had some problems with her outdoor outlet. Took me forever to... He stopped when he saw my face. Sarah, you okay? I looked at him. Really looked at him. This stranger wearing my husband's face. How old is he? I asked quietly. What? The little boy next door. How old is he? Tom's face went pale. Actually pale. I watched the color drain from his cheeks in real time. What are you talking about? How old is he? He set down the beer he'd pulled from the fridge. His hand was shaking slightly. Sarah, listen. 4 years old, Tom? I stood up so fast the chair fell backward. He's 4 years old. We've been married for 8 years. It's not what you think. Then what is it? I was screaming now. I never scream. What is it, Tom? Explain to me what it is when my husband has a 4-year-old son calling him daddy in the house that we bought together with my money. Sarah, please, just calm down. Don't you dare tell me to calm down. He took a step toward me, his hands up like he was approaching a wild animal. Okay. Yes, I have a son. His name is Marcus. But Sarah, I can explain. You have a son. I felt like I was going to vomit. And you have a son and you never told me. It happened before we got serious. Years ago. I didn't know about him until 2 years ago when Laura contacted me. 2 years ago. My voice cracked. You've known for 2 years and you never told me? I didn't know how. I didn't want to hurt you. We were trying to start our own family and I didn't want you to feel. So you bought him a house. You moved your other family in next door to me and you thought I'd never find out. Tom ran his hands through his hair, pacing now. It wasn't supposed to be like this. Laura needed help. Marcus needed a father. I thought I could handle both. I thought I could give you the life you deserved and still be there for my son. You thought you could have 2 lives and I'd be too stupid to notice. No, Sarah, no. I love you. You're my wife. Marcus is he's my responsibility. I had to do the right thing. The right thing? I laughed. It sounded hysterical even to my own ears. The right thing would have been telling me. The right thing would have been being honest. The right thing would have been not using our life savings to buy your mistress a house. She's not my mistress. Then what is she? Silence. Tom looked at the floor. She's Marcus's mother, and I care about her. But not the way I care about you. You're my wife, Sarah. You're my real life. They're just something I have to deal with. Something he had to deal with. A woman and a child were something he had to deal with. I grabbed my purse and my keys. Where are you going? Away from you. I drove to my sister's house and stayed there for 3 days. Tom called 47 times. I didn't answer once. But here's the thing about rage. It's an energy. And when that rage starts to cool, it transforms into something else. Something colder. Something smarter. On day 3, I sat on my sister's couch, drinking coffee, and I realized something important. Tom had made one critical mistake. He'd put both properties in both our names. For the tax benefits, he'd said. For the investment portfolio, he'd said, which meant I owned that house next door just as much as he did. And if I owned it, I could do whatever I wanted with it. I smiled for the first time in 3 days. My sister looked at me with concern. Sarah, you're scaring me. Don't be scared, I said, standing up. I'm going home. Are you sure you're ready? Oh, I'm ready. I wasn't going home to cry. I wasn't going home to pack my bags and leave. I was going home to play. And Tom had just given me the perfect game board. When I returned home, Tom was a mess. He hadn't shaved. His eyes were bloodshot. He practically fell at my feet when I walked through the door. Sarah, thank God. I've been going crazy. We need to talk. We need to figure this out. I looked down at him with a calmness that surprised even me. Yes, we do need to figure this out. But first, I need some time to process everything. I need space. Anything. Whatever you need. I'll sleep on the couch. I'll give you all the space you want. Good, I said simply, and walked upstairs to our bedroom. Over the next week, I played the part of the devastated wife beautifully. I was quiet, distant. I cried at appropriate moments. I let Tom see me staring out windows, looking broken. He tried everything. Flowers. Apologies. Long speeches about how sorry he was. how he'd made a terrible mistake, how he'd do anything to fix this. But what Tom didn't know was that I wasn't broken. I was planning. Every morning, Tom left for his real job at 9. He'd come home for lunch around noon, then leave again. And every evening, like clockwork, he'd announce he needed to check on something at the rental and disappear next door for hours, which gave me plenty of time to do my research. I started with our bank accounts. I printed out 6 months of statements and highlighted every charge related to the house next door. The cable, the furniture, the groceries, because yes, he'd been buying groceries for them too. The children's clothing from Target, the pizza deliveries to their address. $12,000. He'd spent $12,000 of our joint money on his other family in 6 months. Then I got creative. I created a fake email address. Something generic. Jennifer Wilson. Realtor Ajmail. Calm. Professional sounding. Trustworthy. And then I waited for my moment. It came on a Tuesday morning. Tom left for work early. He had some important meeting, he said. I watched from our bedroom window until his car disappeared down the street. Then I did something I never thought I'd do. I walked next door. My heart was pounding as I stood on that porch. The porch of the house I technically owned. I could see children's toys scattered in the yard. A small bicycle with training wheels. A sandbox shaped like a turtle. I rang the doorbell. I heard footsteps inside. A woman's voice calling out, "Coming!" And then the door opened. She was beautiful. I had to admit that. Younger than me by at least 4 years. Blonde hair pulled back in a ponytail. Yoga pants and an oversized sweater. She had that fresh-faced, girl-next-door look that men apparently find irresistible. "Hi," she said brightly. "Can I help you?" I put on my best professional smile. "Hi there. My name is Jennifer Wilson. I'm doing a neighborhood survey for the Homeowners Association. Do you have a few minutes?" Her face fell slightly. "Oh, I didn't know we had a homeowners association." "It's new," I lied smoothly. "We're just trying to get a sense of the neighborhood dynamics. May I come in? It'll only take 5 minutes." She hesitated, but good manners won out. People are so predictable. "Sure, I guess. Come on in." I stepped into my own house. Well, technically my own house, but it didn't feel like mine. It felt like a home. There were pictures on the walls, family photos. I saw them immediately. Tom, this woman, and the little boy, all smiling at the beach, at a pumpkin patch, at what looked like a birthday party. My husband, living a whole other life. "I'm Laura, by the way," she said, leading me to the living room. "Sorry about the mess. I wasn't expecting company." The living room was cozy, too cozy. There was a sectional sofa, the one I'd seen charged to our account from West Elm, a large TV mounted on the wall, children's drawings taped up everywhere, a toy box overflowing with trucks and action figures. "Your home is lovely," I said, sitting down on the sofa. Our sofa, the one we'd paid for. "Thanks," she said, sitting across from me. "We've really tried to make it feel like ours, even though we're renting." "Oh, you're renting. That's great. How long have you been here?" "About 5 months now. My fiancé found this place. The landlord is really understanding. You know, they gave us a great deal on the rent." Fiancé. The word hit me like a slap. "That's wonderful," I managed to say. "Your fiancé lives here with you." Her face lit up. "Well, sort of. It's complicated. He technically still owns the house next door with his ex-wife. She's having a hard time with the divorce. Mental health issues, you know? She refuses to leave the house or sign the papers." I blinked. "I'm sorry." Laura leaned forward, lowering her voice like she was sharing a secret. "Yeah, it's really sad. Tom, that's my fiancé. He's such a good man. He's been trying to get divorced for over a year now, but she's just unstable. The courts are involved and everything, it's a whole mess." My mouth had gone dry. "That sounds difficult." "It is. He feels so guilty, you know? He spends time over there almost every day, making sure she's taking her medications, that she's eating, that the house is maintained. He's worried she might hurt herself if he just abandons her completely." I was going to be sick. But you know what? Laura continued, her eyes getting misty. That's what I love about him. He's so compassionate. Even though their marriage ended badly, even though she made his life hell for years, he still takes care of her. That's the kind of man I want to marry. The kind who does the right thing even when it's hard. I couldn't speak. I literally couldn't form words. Laura must have taken my silence as sympathy because she kept going. We're getting married as soon as the divorce is final. Tom proposed 6 months ago. She held up her left hand, showing me a ring, a diamond ring, a ring I'd never seen before. He's an amazing father to Marcus, too. That's our son. He's 4. Your son, I repeated numbly. Well, biologically, he's Tom's from before we got together, but Tom didn't know about him until a couple years ago. I raised Marcus alone for the first 2 years, but when Tom found out, he stepped up immediately. Not every man would do that, you know? Some guys would just run away from that responsibility. Yes, I whispered. Not every man would do that. Tom works so hard. He has his regular job, and then he manages this rental property for the owner. Well, technically he is one of the owners with his ex, but once the divorce is final, he's buying her out, and he still makes time for us every single day. We have dinner together every night. He helps Marcus with his bath time. He's everything. I stood up abruptly. I need to use your restroom. Oh, sure. It's just down the hall, first door on the right. I walked down the hallway in a daze, but I didn't go to the bathroom. I went to the bedroom, their bedroom. The master bedroom of my investment property had been transformed into a couple's sanctuary. A king-sized bed, another charge I now recognized from our credit card statements. Matching nightstands. His and hers lamps. And photographs. So many photographs. On the dresser, there was a framed picture of Tom and Laura at what looked like a restaurant. He was kissing her cheek. She was laughing, her eyes closed in pure joy. Next to it, a picture of the 3 of them at a zoo. Marcus was on Tom's shoulders, pointing at something off camera. Laura was holding Tom's hand. They looked like a family. They looked happy. I heard Laura call out from the living room. Are you okay in there? I forced myself to move. Yes, sorry, be right out. I took one last look around the room. On Tom's nightstand, because of course he had a nightstand here, of course he slept here, there was a book, A Father's Guide to Raising Boys. I walked back to the living room on autopilot. Sorry about that, I said, grabbing my purse. I actually just remembered I have another appointment. I need to go. Laura stood up, looking concerned. Oh, you didn't even ask me any survey questions. That's okay, I said, heading for the door. I think I got everything I needed. Well, it was nice meeting you. Welcome to the neighborhood. I stepped outside and somehow made it back to my own house before my legs gave out. I sat on my kitchen floor and I didn't cry. I laughed. I laughed because the audacity of it all was so absurd it had crossed over into comedy. Tom hadn't just cheated on me. He hadn't just hidden a child from me. He'd created an entire alternate reality where I was the villain. I was the crazy ex-wife who wouldn't sign divorce papers. I was the unstable woman who needed caretaking. I was the obstacle standing between him and his happy new family. And Laura, poor, sweet, naive Laura, thought she was the hero of this story. The good woman who'd saved a man from his troubled past. The stepmother who was giving a child the family he deserved. She had no idea she was the other woman. She had no idea I was real. She had no idea that the crazy ex and was actually sitting in the house next door, very much still married to her fiancé, paying for the very roof over her head. I pulled out my phone and did something I should have done the moment I discovered the truth. I called a lawyer. Not just any lawyer. The best divorce attorney in the city. The one my colleague at the hospital had used when her surgeon husband left her for a pharmaceutical rep. The one who'd taken him for everything he had. Mitchell and Associates. How may I help you? Yes, I'd like to make an appointment with Patricia Mitchell. It's urgent. May I ask what this is regarding? Divorce and property fraud. And I need to record everything legally before I do what I'm about to do. There was a pause. I can get you in tomorrow at 10. Perfect. I hung up and stood up from the kitchen floor. I looked out the window at the house next door. I could see Laura through her kitchen window, cooking something, probably dinner for her little family. Tom would be home in a few hours. He'd put on his concerned husband face. He'd ask me how I was feeling. He'd probably suggest couples counseling. He'd work so hard to convince me that we could fix this, that he'd made a mistake, that I was the one he really loved. And I'd let him think it was working, because I had a better plan. When Tom came home that evening, I was in the kitchen making his favorite meal, pot roast with potatoes and carrots. He stopped in the doorway, surprised. "Sarah, you're cooking?" I turned and gave him a small, sad smile. "I've been thinking a lot. About us, about everything, and I realized something." He came closer, hope spreading across his face. "What did you realize?" "I realized that I don't want to lose you. I don't want to throw away 8 years of marriage without at least trying to fix this." His face crumpled with relief. He actually had tears in his eyes. "Sarah, oh God, Sarah, I'm so sorry. I'll do anything. I'll fix this. I promise." I let him hug me. I even hugged him back. "There are conditions," I said softly. "Anything. I want you to spend less time next door. I need you here with me. We need to rebuild trust." "Done. Absolutely. And I want to meet her. Laura, I want to talk to her. Put a face to this situation. I think it'll help me process everything." He pulled back, looking uncertain. "I don't know if that's a good idea. Tom, if we're going to work through this, I need to stop seeing her as this mysterious figure. I need to see her as a real person. A person you have a child with. A person who's part of our lives now, whether I like it or not." He thought about it. I could see him calculating, trying to figure out how to manage the situation. "Okay," he finally said. "Okay, I'll talk to her. We can all sit down together. Work something out." "Thank you," I whispered. He kissed my forehead. "I love you. You're my wife. You're my priority. I'm going to make this right." That night, after dinner, after Tom fell asleep in our bed, I lay awake staring at the ceiling. I had my meeting with the lawyer in the morning, and then the real game would begin. Because Tom thought he was the player. But he was about to find out he was just a piece on the board. And I was the one moving all the pieces. Patricia Mitchell was exactly what I needed. Sharp, ruthless, and utterly unfazed by my story. "So let me get this straight," she said, leaning back in her leather chair. "You co-own both properties. He's been using marital funds to support his other family. And the other woman has no idea you're still married. That's correct. And you want to—" "I want to make his life a living hell before I take everything from him." She smiled. Actually smiled. "I like you, Sarah. Here's what we're going to do." Patricia laid out the legal framework. Everything I was about to do needed to be documented, legal, and airtight. She had me set up security cameras around both properties, for safety purposes, of course. She had me start recording every conversation with Tom. She pulled all our financial records going back 3 years. The adultery is one thing, she explained, but the financial fraud, the misuse of marital assets, that's what's going to destroy him in court. Keep letting him spend money on them. Let him dig his own grave deeper. "But I want to do more than just win in court," I said. "I want him to feel what I felt, the confusion, the betrayal, the slow realization that everything he thought was real is actually a lie." Patricia studied me for a moment. "You know what? I'm not supposed to encourage this kind of thing. But off the record, make his life miserable. Just don't break any laws. And keep me informed so I can keep you protected." I left her office with a plan and a recorder in my purse. Phase 1 began that very night. I went home and did something I hadn't done in months. I invited friends over. Specifically, I invited my book club, 8 women who could talk louder than a rock concert and who loved wine almost as much as they loved gossip. "Girls' night," I announced to Tom when he got home. "I know things have been hard, but I need some normalcy, some friend time." He looked uncomfortable. "Tonight?" But I was going to what? Check on the rental. I kept my voice light. Tom, you said I was your priority. I need this. I need my friends. He couldn't say no without looking like a hypocrite. So at 7 p.m., my living room filled with 8 tipsy women, and the party began. We were loud, we laughed, we played music, and I made sure we migrated to the backyard around 9 p.m., right when I knew Tom usually went next door for dinner with his family. Sarah, your yard is gorgeous, my friend Melissa shouted, wine glass in hand. Thanks. Let me show you the new rose bushes by the fence. We congregated right at the property line. I could see lights on in Laura's kitchen. I could hear Marcus asking for dessert. Is that someone next door? Melissa yelled. She was naturally loud, but wine made her a megaphone. Oh yes, that's the rental property, I said, just loud enough to carry over the fence. You're a landlord. Fancy. Tom appeared at the back door, his face tight. Sarah, can you keep it down? The tenant has a small child. He needs to sleep. It's only 9 p.m., Melissa laughed. Kids don't sleep at 9. I shrugged apologetically at Tom. We'll try to be quieter. We weren't quieter. We stayed out there until midnight, our laughter echoing through both yards. I saw Tom check his phone obsessively. I knew Laura was probably texting him, asking what was going on, why his crazy ex was being so loud. This was just the beginning. Phase 2 escalated things. The next morning, Saturday, I woke up at 6 a.m. I got dressed. I went to the garage and pulled out our old lawnmower, the gas-powered one that sounded like a chainsaw. At exactly 6:15 a.m., I started mowing our lawn. Then I mowed it again. Then I used the hedge trimmer on bushes that didn't need trimming. Then I got out the leaf blower. By 7 a.m., Tom came storming outside in his pajamas. Sarah. What are you doing? Yard work, I called over the noise. The grass was getting long. It's 6 in the morning. City ordinance says I can start at 6. I checked. I had checked. I'd done my homework. Through the fence, I could hear Marcus crying. I heard Laura's voice, sharp with frustration, though I couldn't make out the words. Tom was furious. His jaw was clenched so tight I thought his teeth might crack. You're doing this on purpose. Doing what on purpose? Taking care of our property? I thought you'd be happy I'm finally helping with the maintenance. He couldn't argue. Not without admitting why he was really angry. I did the same thing the next Saturday, and the Saturday after that. Phase 3 was even better. I started having issues with my house, issues that required loud repairs. Tom, the garage door is making a weird noise, I said on a Tuesday evening, right when I knew he usually read Marcus bedtime stories. Sounds fine to me. No, there's definitely something wrong. I called a repair guy. He's coming tomorrow at 7 p.m. Tomorrow? But You what? Had plans? I thought I was your priority, Tom. The repairman came. A lovely chatty man who took his time, banging and clanging and testing the door over and over. He didn't leave until 9 p.m. Then it was the air conditioning, then the plumbing. Then I decided our fence needed repainting and hired a crew that played reggaeton at full volume. Every repair, every maintenance issue, strategically scheduled to disrupt Tom's time with his other family. Laura started complaining to Tom. I knew because I could hear them arguing through the walls. Thin walls. I'd never noticed how thin until I started paying attention. Your ex-wife is doing this on purpose, Laura's voice carried through. She's harassing us. She's not. She's just maintaining her property. Our property. She has every right. Every right? Tom, she mowed her lawn at 6 a.m. 3 Saturdays in a row. I'll talk to her. But he couldn't talk to me. Not really. Because what could he say? Stop taking care of the house? Stop having repairs done? He was trapped, and he knew it. Phase 4 was my personal favorite. I started being extraordinarily friendly. I baked cookies, lots of cookies, and set them on cooling racks by the open kitchen window. The smell wafted directly into Laura's yard. I'd see her outside with Marcus, and I'd wave enthusiastically. Beautiful day, isn't it? She'd give me a tight smile and hurry Marcus inside. I planted a garden right along the fence line. This required hours of digging, with a radio playing NPR at conversational volume. Not loud enough to complain about, but just loud enough to be heard during their family dinners. "Sarah, what are you doing?" Tom asked one evening, watching me dig. "Planting tomatoes. I thought we could save money by growing our own vegetables. Isn't that what you wanted? To save money?" His face twitched, but the real masterpiece came in phase 5. I threw a party. Not just any party, a neighborhood block party. I went door to door on our street, introducing myself to neighbors I'd barely spoken to in years. "Hi, I'm Sarah from number 42. I'm organizing a block party for next Saturday. Just a casual get-together. Burgers, drinks, getting to know the neighbors. Will you come?" Everyone said yes. People love free food. I made flyers, cute ones, with clip art and cheerful fonts. I put them in every mailbox on the street, including Laura's. Tom didn't notice at first. He was too busy trying to manage his 2 lives, increasingly frustrated as I accidentally disrupted his routine. But Laura noticed. On Thursday, she actually came to my door. I answered with a bright smile. "Laura, hi. What can I do for you?" She looked uncomfortable. "Hi, Sarah. Tom told me your name. I just wanted to introduce myself officially. I'm your tenant next door." "Of course. Tom's mentioned you. Is everything okay with the house?" "The house is fine. I got this flyer about a block party, and I wasn't sure if tenants were invited or if it was just for homeowners. I pretended to think about it." "Well, you live on the block, don't you? Of course you're invited. In fact, I insist. It'll be nice to get to know you properly." She looked relieved. "Oh, that's so kind. Tom's always said you were..." "He said the situation was complicated, but that you're a good person deep down." "Did he now? That's sweet of him. Will Tom be there? At the party?" "Oh, I don't think so. He usually spends Saturdays helping his ex-wife with..." "Wait." Her face changed. "You're the ex-wife." I kept my smile perfectly pleasant. "Ex-wife? I think there's been some confusion. I'm Tom's wife, current wife. We're very much still married." Laura's face went white. That's not possible. Tom said..." "What did Tom say exactly?" She stepped backward. "I need to go." "Laura, wait!" But she was already rushing back to her house, my house, slamming the door behind her. I went back inside and called Patricia. "The domino just fell," I told her. "Good. Let it play out. Don't contact her directly. Let Tom try to clean up his mess." That evening was explosive. I could hear them through the walls. Laura was screaming. Tom was trying to explain. Marcus was crying. "You told me you were divorced." "I am, legally separated. It's the same thing." "It's not the same thing, Tom. She's wearing a wedding ring. She said you're still married." "She's confused. She's not well, Laura. I told you she has mental health issues." "She seemed perfectly sane to me." I sat at my kitchen table, eating dinner, listening to my husband's life fall apart through drywall and insulation. He came home 2 hours later. His face was red. His eyes were wild. "What did you say to her?" he demanded. I looked up from my book. "Say to who?" "To Laura? What did you tell her?" "The truth, that we're married. Was I supposed to lie?" "You're destroying everything." "I'm destroying everything." I stood up slowly. "Tom, you destroyed everything the moment you bought that house for your secret family. I'm just living my life. If your lies are falling apart, that's not my fault. You invited her to a block party. You're trying to humiliate me." "I invited all the neighbors. She lives on the block. It would be rude not to invite her." He grabbed my shoulders. Not hard enough to hurt, but firm enough that I felt the threat of it. "Sarah, please. You need to cancel the party. Tell people you're sick. Make up an excuse." I looked down at his hands on my shoulders, then back up at his face. "I take your hands off me, now." He did, immediately. He knew he'd crossed a line. "I'm not canceling anything," I said calmly. "The party is happening. Laura is invited. You're invited too, actually. It'll be nice to have the whole family there. Both families." I walked past him and went upstairs. Behind me, I heard him punch the wall. I smiled. Saturday came. I'd rented tables and chairs. I'd bought enough food for 50 people. I'd set up a speaker system in the front yard, playing cheerful summer music. By noon, the street was full of neighbors, kids were running around, adults were chatting, drinking beers, eating burgers, and I was the perfect hostess, smiling, welcoming, introducing people to each other. Tom was hiding inside our house. I could see him through the window, pacing, checking his phone. He was waiting to see if Laura would show up. At 1 p.m., she did. She came out of the house next door wearing jeans and a nice blouse. She'd put on makeup. She was holding Marcus's hand. She was putting on a brave face. I watched her scan the crowd, looking for Tom, looking for answers. Our neighbors noticed her immediately. "Oh, is that the new tenant?" someone asked me. "Yes, that's Laura and her son Marcus. Laura, over here." She walked over slowly, Marcus clutching her leg. "I'm so glad you came," I said warmly. Let me introduce you to everyone. This is Margaret from 3 houses down, and this is Paul and Chen from across the street." Laura shook hands mechanically. She kept glancing at the house, my house, looking for Tom. "Tom's inside," I said quietly, just to her. "He's been nervous about today. I think he's afraid of what people will think when they realize the situation." "What situation?" Margaret asked, overhearing. Laura looked at me, really looked at me, and I saw the moment she understood. This party wasn't about community. It was a stage, and I was about to perform. "What situation?" Margaret asked again. Her curiosity fully piqued now. Several other neighbors had started drifting closer, sensing drama the way sharks sense blood in the water. Laura's face had gone from pale to red. She was gripping Marcus's hand so tightly the little boy whimpered. "Mommy, you're hurting me." "I think," Laura said, her voice shaking, "I think I should go." "No, please stay," I said, my voice dripping with concern. "You just got here." "Marcus, honey, would you like a hot dog? There's a kid's eye table right over there with juice boxes." Marcus looked up at his mother hopefully. Laura was trapped. Leaving now would look strange. Staying meant enduring whatever was about to happen. She nodded tightly. "Okay, just for a little while." I smiled and guided Marcus toward the kids' bag area, Laura following reluctantly. The other neighbors dispersed slightly, but I could feel their attention still on us. Watching. Waiting. Tom must have been watching from the window because suddenly he appeared at the front door. He'd changed into a nice shirt, put on cologne. He was trying to look casual, but I could see the panic in his eyes. He made a beeline for Laura. "Hey," he said, too loud, too cheerful. "I didn't know you were coming." "You invited the whole neighborhood," Laura said coldly. "I live in the neighborhood." "Right, of course. I just meant, we need to talk. Now." "Laura, not here." "You said you were divorced, Tom. She's wearing a wedding ring. Your wedding ring. The one that matches the one on your finger that you told me was your grandfather's." Several neighbors had stopped pretending not to listen. Tom grabbed Laura's elbow, trying to steer her away from the crowd. "Let's go inside and talk about this privately." "Inside where? Your house? Or her house? Or wait, are they the same house?" "Laura, please, you're making a scene." "I'm making a scene?" Laura's voice cracked. "I've been living a lie for 6 months and I'm making a scene." Marcus started crying. The music suddenly seemed too loud. Someone had the good sense to turn it down. Tom's face was red. He looked around at all the watching neighbors, then back at Laura. "Can we please not do this here? Think about Marcus." "Oh, now you want to think about Marcus? Where was that concern when you were lying to his mother?" I walked over, carrying a plate of cookies. "Is everything okay over here?" "Laura, you look upset. Can I get you some water?" Tom turned on me, his eyes blazing. "Stop it. Stop playing games. This is your fault. You orchestrated this whole thing." "Orchestrated what? A neighborhood party? You invited her here to humiliate me." "I invited everyone. You're my husband. She's my tenant. Why wouldn't I invite you both?" The word tenant hit Laura like a physical blow. "Tenant? I'm not your tenant. Tom is the landlord. Tom owns this property with his ex." She stopped. Her face crumpled as the full reality finally crashed down on her. Oh my God, you own the house. You're not the ex-wife. You're the wife. You own the house I'm living in. Well, technically Tom and I co-own it, yes. It's an investment property. We bought it together about 6 months ago. Laura turned to Tom, her voice barely a whisper now. 6 months ago, the same time we moved in, you bought this house while we were together. Tom reached for her. Laura, I can explain. Explain what? That you're a liar? That everything you told me was a lie? That I'm not your fiancé. I'm your mistress living in a house your wife pays for. Marcus was sobbing now. One of the neighbor women, Chen, I think, came over and gently took his hand. Hey, buddy. Want to come see the puppies at my house? I have 2 golden retrievers. Marcus looked at Laura, who nodded shakily. Chen led him away, thankfully removing him from the carnage. The moment Marcus was out of earshot, Laura exploded. 2 years, Tom. You told me you'd been separated for 2 years. You told me your marriage was over. You told me she was crazy and wouldn't sign the papers. She is crazy. Look at what she's doing. This whole party is psychological warfare. No, Laura said, tears streaming down her face now. You know what's crazy? Believing you, trusting you, thinking you were this good man who was helping his troubled ex-wife while building a future with me? I defended you to my mother. I told my friends what a great guy you were. I let you around my son. Our son, Tom shouted. Marcus is my son too. Is he? Or is that another lie? Have you even taken a paternity test? The crowd gasped. Actual gasps. This was better than reality TV. Tom's face went purple. How dare you? How dare I? How dare I? Laura laughed, hysterical now. You bought a house for us using your wife's money. You've been living a double life. You've been sleeping in her bed, she pointed at me, and then coming over to sleep in mine. Which bed did you sleep in last night, Tom? Which one? Tom said nothing. His mouth opened and closed like a fish. Last night, I said helpfully, he slept in our bed. The one we've shared for 8 years. He usually does, actually, except for weekends. Weekends, he tells me he has to check on rental repairs, but I'm guessing that's when he sleeps at your place. Laura made a sound like a wounded animal. Although, I continued, sometimes he does sneak over during the week, like last Tuesday. He said he had to fix your garbage disposal, but he didn't come home until after midnight. What was broken, Laura? The garbage disposal, or was nothing broken at all? Stop it, Tom said, his voice dangerous. Sarah, stop talking right now. Why? We're just having a conversation. You always said communication was important in a relationship. Relationships? Plural. Paul, one of the neighbors, stepped forward. Hey man, I think you should leave. You're clearly upsetting both these women. This is my house, Tom yelled. I don't have to leave. Actually, I said calmly, it's our house, co-owned, and I think you should leave too. Laura looks like she needs some space, and you're making everyone uncomfortable. I'm making people uncomfortable. You threw this party to destroy me. No, Tom, you destroyed yourself. I just gave you the stage to do it on. Margaret, the older woman from down the street, shook her head in disgust. Young man, you should be ashamed of yourself, leading on 2 women like this. And there's a child involved. 2 children, I corrected. Don't forget, we've been trying to have a baby for 3 years. All that fertility treatment money, the appointments I went to alone because you were working? I'm guessing you weren't at work. Tom's eyes widened. He'd forgotten about that. In his carefully constructed web of lies, he'd actually forgotten that his wife had been going through fertility treatments while he was playing house next door. Laura sank into one of the folding chairs. I think I'm going to be sick. I'll get you some water, Chen's husband offered, hurrying toward the cooler. I knelt down next to Laura. Tom started to object, but Paul and another neighbor, a large man named Derek, physically blocked him. Laura, I said softly, I need you to understand something. I'm not angry at you. You didn't know. You were lied to, just like I was. She looked at me with red, swollen eyes. How are you so calm? Because I've had 3 weeks to process this. You're just finding out. And I know it hurts. I know you feel stupid and used and betrayed. I felt all of that too. I loved him, she whispered. I really loved him. I know. So did I. Tom was raging at the men holding him back. You don't understand. It's not what it looks like. Sarah, tell them. Tell them you knew. Tell them we had an arrangement. I stood up and faced him. An arrangement? Is that what we're calling it now? Tom, I found out 3 weeks ago. I found out when I climbed on a stepladder to trim a tree and saw you kissing her. I heard Marcus call you Daddy. That's when I found out. The neighbors were silent now, watching this tragedy unfold. You've been lying to both of us for 6 months, I continued, my voice steady. You used our life savings, my life savings, because I'm the one who makes more money, to buy your mistress a house. You've been spending our money on premium cable, furniture, toys, groceries, for another family while making me work extra shifts to pay our mortgage. I walked closer to him. The men let me. You told her I was your ex-wife. You told her I was mentally unstable. You told her you were a hero for taking care of me. And you told me she was a struggling single mother who needed help. You made us both believe we were the good guys in your story. Tom's bravado was crumbling. Sarah, please, can we talk about this inside, alone? No. You've been hiding in the dark for 6 months. It's time for some sunlight. I turned back to Laura, who was sipping water with shaking hands. Laura, I want you to know something. You're not being evicted. You don't have to leave. She looked up, confused. What? That house is as much mine as it is his. And legally, you have a lease. Tom told you that you had a lease, right? She nodded. Month to month. He said we'd sign something more permanent after the divorce. Well, there's not going to be a divorce because there was never a separation. But that's not your problem. That's between Tom and me. You have a son. You need stability. So I'm not evicting you. But why? Because you're a victim in this too. And because Tom is about to have much bigger problems than where his mistress lives. I turned to face him fully now. Tom, I've spent the last 3 weeks documenting everything. Every dollar you spent on them, every lie you told. I have bank records. I have recordings. I have a lawyer who specializes in cases exactly like this. And as of Monday morning, I'm filing for divorce and suing you for fraudulent use of marital assets. His face went white. You can't. I can, and I will. You used community property, our money, to support another relationship. That's called dissipation of assets. You're going to owe me every penny you spent on them, plus damages, plus attorney fees. And then I'm going to sell both houses and take my half of everything we've built together. Sarah, wait. We can work this out. No, we can't. Because you're not just a cheater, Tom. You're a con artist. You played both of us. You made me doubt myself, work myself to exhaustion, sacrifice my dreams, all while you played happy family next door. You're not a man. You're a parasite. The street was dead silent. You all heard him, I said to the neighbors. He admitted it. He's been living a double life. And now you know, so when he tries to play the victim, when he tries to say I'm the crazy one, you'll all know the truth. Tom looked around at all the faces staring at him. Disgust, disappointment, judgment. He did the only thing left to do. He ran. He literally ran to his car, got in, and drove away. Tires squealing. The moment he was gone, the street erupted. Neighbors crowded around Laura and me, offering support, sharing their own stories of betrayal, condemning Tom's behavior. Margaret hugged Laura while she sobbed. Chen came back with Marcus and several other children, all holding popsicles. Paul came over to me. That took guts. I'm sorry you're going through this. Thank you, I said. But honestly, I feel lighter than I have in months. And it was true. The secret was out. The lies were exposed. Tom's carefully constructed double life had collapsed in front of 50 witnesses. Laura eventually calmed down enough to talk to me properly. What happens now? She asked. Now, you take care of yourself and Marcus. You stay in that house as long as you need to. I'll have my lawyer draw up a proper lease for you, at a fair rate. And when you're ready to move on with your life, you do it. But you don't have to worry about Tom controlling your housing anymore. Why are you being so nice to me? Because he hurt both of us. And women should stick together, not tear each other apart over men who aren't worth it. She started crying again, but this time she hugged me. It was the strangest moment of my life. Hugging my husband's mistress at a block party while our neighbors cleaned up paper plates and plastic cups. But it also felt like justice. Tom had wanted 2 lives. Now he had none. Tom didn't come home that night, or the next night. On Monday morning, I met with Patricia Mitchell in her office. She had watched the entire block party unfold remotely. I'd had a friend discreetly live stream it to her on video call. "That was the most beautiful destruction of a man's life I've ever witnessed," she said, pouring me coffee. "And completely legal. You didn't slander him. You didn't assault him. You just told the truth in a public space. Brilliant. So what happens now? Now we bury him." She slid a folder across her desk. "I've filed the divorce papers, citing adultery, fraudulent use of marital assets, and emotional abuse. I've also filed a separate civil suit for the return of all funds he spent on his other household. That's approximately $12,000 over 6 months, which we can prove with bank records. Will I get it back? Every penny, plus interest, plus my fees, which he'll be ordered to pay. The judge is going to eviscerate him, Sarah. Men who use marital funds to support affair partners don't fare well in divorce court. What about the houses? Both properties will be sold. You'll receive 60% of the proceeds from each sale. I'm arguing that your greater financial contribution plus his fraudulent use of funds entitles you to more than half. He'll be lucky to walk away with enough for a security deposit on an apartment." I sipped the coffee. It was good coffee. Expensive coffee. The kind Tom and I could never afford because we were paying for 2 mortgages. "What about Laura?" I asked. Patricia raised an eyebrow. "What about her?" I meant what I said. I don't want to evict her. Can we structure the sale so she has time to find a new place? Maybe give her first option to buy if she can secure financing? You're being very generous to the woman who was sleeping with your husband. She didn't know. She was a victim too. And she has a child. Marcus didn't ask for any of this. Patricia studied me for a moment, then nodded. I can work that into the settlement. We'll give her 90 days after the sale is finalized to vacate, and right of first refusal if she wants to purchase the property at market value. Fair. Fair. You're a better woman than most, Sarah? No, I'm just done being angry. Anger is exhausting. I want to move forward. Tom finally called me Tuesday afternoon. I let it go to voicemail. Then I listened to it on speaker with Patricia. "Sarah, please, we need to talk. This is insane. You can't just destroy my entire life because you're upset. I made a mistake, okay? I made a terrible mistake. But we can fix this. We can go to counseling. We can work through this. Please don't do this. Please call me back." Patricia snorted. "He still thinks he can manipulate you. Should we respond?" "No. Let him sweat." He called 17 more times that day. I didn't answer. By Wednesday, the story had spread through our neighborhood like wildfire. I couldn't go to the grocery store without someone stopping me to offer support or share their own story of betrayal. Mrs. Henderson from 2 streets over brought me a casserole. "My husband did something similar in 1987, she told me. "Different time, but same pain. You're handling this with such grace, dear." Grace. People kept using that word, but I didn't feel graceful. I felt vindicated. Thursday, Laura knocked on my door. She looked terrible. Her eyes were swollen. She'd clearly been crying for days. "Can we talk?" she asked quietly. I invited her in, made tea. We sat at my kitchen table, the same table where Tom and I had signed the papers to buy her house. "I didn't know," she said immediately. "I swear to you, Sarah, I had no idea you were still married. If I had known, I believe you." She looked up, surprised. "You do?" "Yes. Tom is a very good liar. He convinced me for 6 months that you were a struggling single mother who needed help. He convinced you that I was a mentally unstable ex-wife. He's a professional manipulator. Neither of us should feel stupid for believing him." But I should have questioned things. There were signs. He was always busy. He could never stay overnight on weeknights. He never introduced me to his friends or family. I wanted to believe him. I wanted Marcus to have a father. I understand. I wanted to believe him too. I wanted to believe we were building something together. We sat in silence for a moment. What happens to us now? Laura asked. Marcus and me. You have 90 days to figure things out. I've instructed my lawyer to give you right of first refusal on the house if you want to buy it. If not, you'll have 3 months to find a new place after it sells. That should be enough time. Why are you being so kind to me? Because Tom took enough from both of us. I'm not going to let him take our humanity too. Laura started crying again. He called me yesterday, told me this was all my fault, that if I hadn't come to the party, none of this would have happened. He said I ruined his life. He said the same thing to me. That's what narcissists do. They blame everyone but themselves. Are you going to be okay? I thought about it. Really thought about it. Yes, I said finally. I'm going to be better than okay. For the first time in years, I'm going to be free. The divorce proceedings moved quickly. Tom tried to fight it at first, but his lawyer, a public defender because he couldn't afford anyone better, took one look at the evidence and advised him to settle. He had no choice. The court ordered him to pay back the $12,000 he'd spent on Laura's household. He was ordered to pay Patricia's legal fees, another $15,000. The houses were put on the market. My house sold in 2 weeks. Laura's house, I still thought of it that way, took a month, but eventually sold to a young couple expecting twins. Laura couldn't afford to buy it. She didn't have the credit or the down payment, but she used her 90 days wisely. She found a nice apartment closer to her parents, got a better job, started therapy. We didn't become best friends. That would be weird. But we became something like allies, women who'd survived the same war. Tom moved into a studio apartment on the other side of town. He had visitation with Marcus every other weekend, supervised at first, because Laura didn't trust him not to disappear with their son. He tried to contact me a few times. Emails, text messages. Once, he even showed up at the hospital where I worked, trying to talk things through. Security escorted him out. The last time I saw him was at the final divorce hearing. He looked smaller somehow, diminished. His shoulders slumped, his eyes hollow. The judge reviewed the settlement terms. I got 62% of the proceeds from both house sales. After debts were paid, that came to nearly $200,000. Tom got $43,000. Mr. Anderson, the judge said, looking at Tom over her reading glasses, I've been on the bench for 23 years. I've seen a lot of ugly divorces. But what you did? Using marital assets to support an extramarital relationship while your wife worked herself to exhaustion trying to keep both households afloat, that's among the most egregious cases of financial infidelity I've encountered. You're lucky this is a civil matter and not a criminal one. Tom said nothing. Ms. Anderson, or I should say Ms. Parker, as you're reverting to your maiden name, I wish you the very best. You've conducted yourself with remarkable dignity throughout this process. Thank you, Your Honor. The gavel came down. It was over. I walked out of that courthouse into bright sunshine. Patricia was waiting by her car. How does it feel? She asked. Like I can breathe again. So what's next for you? I smiled. I'm buying a villa. A villa? On the coast. I've always wanted to live by the ocean. I found a perfect place. Small, but mine. Just mine. No one else's name on the deed. No one else's dreams attached to it. Just mine. Patricia grinned. Good for you, Sarah. You earned it. I bought the villa 3 weeks later. It's a small place. 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, but it has a deck that overlooks the ocean. I wake up every morning to the sound of waves. I drink my coffee watching the sunrise. I read books without interruption. I work on my own schedule. I'm taking a pottery class. I'm learning to paint. I'm doing all the things I put off for years because I was too busy trying to hold together a marriage that was already broken. Sometimes people ask me if I regret how I handled things. If I wish I'd been more private, less dramatic. No, not even a little bit. Tom wanted 2 houses, 2 lives, 2 families. He thought he could have it all without consequences. But he forgot something important. Every house needs a foundation. And the foundation he built his lies on was me. When I pulled myself out from under him, the whole thing collapsed. He wanted everything. He ended up with nothing. And me? I ended up with everything I actually needed. My freedom, my dignity, my self-respect, and a villa by the sea where the only person I have to answer to is myself. Last week, I got a letter from Laura. She and Marcus are doing well. She met someone new, a teacher at Marcus's preschool. Someone honest, someone kind. She's taking things slow, but she's happy. She thanked me for not making her the villain in my story. I wrote back and told her the truth. There was only one villain in this story, and he's exactly where he belongs. Alone. I'm standing on my deck right now, watching the sunset paint the ocean in shades of orange and pink. The breeze is cool. The air smells like salt and freedom. My phone is inside, turned off. My calendar is clear. My life is mine. He said buying that house next door was an investment. He was right. It was the best investment I ever made, because it revealed exactly who he was, and it showed me exactly who I could be. I'm Sarah Parker. I'm 32 years old. I own a villa by the sea, and I've never been happier.